Session 3 of our awesome oscillator EMA strategy. We can see here that trailing stop loss did trigger at its point last night, so we did have a 1 times ATR stop loss. Something interesting though is that this triggered in a very strange location. We can see that the price that it did trigger at was 1.60841, which is there, and that is the time that it triggered, 5 past 12, but it doesn't make any sense. It didn't hit there until this time, so not sure what happened there, whether it glitched us out at that point or whether it triggered later and just misread where it was. But either way, not feeling like we've got an accurate showing there. If we were in this last trend right here, this would have been a nice one so far. We'd start there, come all the way down. That would definitely be a guaranteed profit for us right now. Let's have a look at this New Zealand dollar, Swiss franc, zoom in there. Also looks like it probably would have been quite nice. What's that? That's a 0, so we'd enter around about here, and then so far we'd be on a run up there. On the Great British Pound Yen, let's have a look at the last run. Start from the actual open. That certainly would have propped out 1 times ATR take profit. The other one would probably still be going at the moment, so not guaranteed profit. Still though, it does seem we've missed some potentially good moves already through the night. Could be the waiting game again for us. But let's see what's in the economic calendar for the day. There is our calendar for the day. What have we had so far? Korean GDP, quarterly and yearly, coming in about as expected. A little bit over, 6% yearly against 5.9 forecast. Pretty good for them. And the CPI month on month from there as well. 0.6% instead of the 0.7 forecast. Not ideal, but they'll be happy it beat the forecast. Numbers from the Australian dollar at 4:30 this morning. Home loans month on month coming in less than expected, but their trade balance looking pretty healthy there. The Swiss franc had its CPI numbers month on month, and they've come out pretty nice, 0.2%. The previous month at minus 0.1%. They have been managing to keep their inflation flat at the moment. Had their retail sales year on year come in as well, minus 2.6% compared to a forecast of 13.4. That is quite poor. Also expecting GDP quarterly numbers and yearly numbers about half an hour ago at 10 o'clock. Haven't come through yet, so we'll keep an eye out for those. But what's on the cards for today? 12 o'clock, Producers Price Index month on month for the entire Eurozone. Could see a bit of an impact onto the euro currency. They forecast 0.3%, likely to come in higher than that. It's just based on the other numbers we've seen feeding through this week from the Eurozone. And then this afternoon at 3:30, a lot of North American numbers coming through, particularly US dollar. We got trade balance, non-farm productivity quarterly, unit labor cost quarterly, and the weekly initial jobless claims. So 3:30, even though we're not trading the US dollar, it is likely to see some increased volatility on our charts. We'll be into the New York session at that point, something to bear in mind if we get whipsawed out of a trade and want to know why. And last off, to finish the day on the US dollar again at 5 o'clock, factory orders month on month. So not really too much that's going to have a direct impact on us. We'll certainly keep an eye out for that PPI from the Eurozone at 12, and then these US dollar numbers at 3:30. So if we do actually get some entry signals today on our technical strategy, we should be able to take them without worrying that there's going to be too much impact from outside economic indicators. But I do say if, because it is going to be a while before we get an entry signal. If you are trading this strategy, I certainly wouldn't blame you for throwing on a lot more charts and trying to look for some more signals than just the 3. Almost 20 past 11 here, and we're seeing price come off the top quite a bit on that Great British Pound Yen. The 4 is sharp, while the other 2 charts are currently ranging. We did get those GDP quarterly and yearly numbers feed through. They were pretty strong for the Swiss, so they've had good numbers for GDP and CPI today, but not really any positive impact against the strength that's ongoing for that New Zealand dollar. GDP quarterly for the Swiss, 1.8 against 1.1 forecast, and the yearly was 7.7% actual against minus 2.6% forecast, so really strong beat for the Swiss there. They'll be very pleased with that. No signals yet though. Eurozone PPI at 12. There's that month-on-month reading from the Eurozone, the Producers Price Index, 2.3% actual. That is quite a bit, and that's probably going to come down the pipeline to the CPI. So yeah, I don't know who was forecasting that at 0.3%. Yeesh. These Eurozone inflation expectations this week have been very optimistic compared to what we've seen. Only really Germany managing to keep themselves flat. Everybody else, CPI and PPI are much higher than they would be fully comfortable with. We could see the euro continue to weaken off the back of that news. Still no signal for us anyway. Not a lot going on at 5 to 1. Price just coming off those extremes there, bouncing off that high a little bit on the New Zealand dollar, Swiss franc, and same over on the pound yen. Let's hope we do get some reversals over there. The euro Aussie dollar just ranging at the moment. Last couple hours had that big move in the Asia session and now has relaxed itself. Everybody favouring the New Zealand dollar here. It continues its push to new highs. Didn't take much of a pullback. Just after 2 o'clock now, all these prices ranging no closer to a signal. Hopefully the numbers that come through on the US dollar at 3:30 bring some big volume, big volatility, and really set some new moves in motion. About 5 hours into this session now with these 3 charts, no signal for us still. Under 20 minutes now until these US numbers come through. Hopefully that can cause some movement. Here come those numbers. Initial jobless claims looking not too bad, 340,000 against 351,000 predicted. I think the forecasters might have been a little shaky on that one after the big miss yesterday on the ADP jobs numbers. Otherwise, quarterly non-farm productivity 2.1% against forecast 2.3%, and unit labour costs quarterly 1.3% against 1.0% forecast. So those two not very far out in terms of their predictions there, not enough to create any major change. Also, the trade balance came in a little bit better than expected, negative 70 billion against the forecast of negative 73 billion. All in all though, I think most people will have been watching the jobs numbers and they'll be happy to see that they haven't spiked up above what the forecast was. If you start seeing 380, 400, I think there would have been a little bit of worry ahead of tomorrow's non-farm payroll. As for our technical strategy, still no signals yet. We are patient though, and I don't think there's going to be many people that are making money in these kind of markets here, this choppiness. Yes, we did happen to miss these trends that all started in the Asia market, but since we stepped on the European market, very minimal profits to make from these kind of ranges. And as the first candle since the release of those US numbers closes, we can see the increase in volume that did come with it. It's a high of the day there on the euro Aussie dollar, just about a high on the New Zealand dollar Swiss franc, but very close there. And similarly on the Great British Pound Japanese yen, very close to a high there. I think it misses out maybe by a single tick or so against a couple of these, but very close to an all-time high and certainly an uptick on the more recent volume. It just demonstrates the roll-on of effect from even moderate US numbers. Again though, these signals not going to be coming for us at this rate. Meanwhile, the euro Aussie dollar looks like it wants to drop a little bit more with that downward trend, whereas the Great British Pound yen pair ranging and ranging and ranging some more for the last few hours now at least. And the breakout has come on the pound yen, but it does go up and up. Last period, a big green candle close, and now it's coming right out of the gates strong on this next one here. So that is moving far away from a zero line crossover. This had been the one that I was kind of hopeful for today. Might come back down and we could get a sell signal here. But if you look at these candles, look at the increase in volume that's come with the move. It is looking very unlikely we'll get a signal off there. And same for this one in the reverse. It had been looking like maybe it was going to cross above zero a couple hours ago, but since then back down it comes, and now it's going to reach new lows once more. We can see those US factory orders month on month did miss their forecast by a bit. Predicted at 1.4, came in at 0.4. That was on a previous of 1.5, so a bit disappointing there. But as we are still absolutely no closer to a signal, and it is 5:15, we will end the session there after about 7 hours without a signal on either of these charts. As I said earlier, if you wanted to throw on a lot more charts so you could get more entry signals, more power to you. We will be back for another session on Monday, which will be the 6th of the 9th up here. So we will be back for more trading then. Let's just have a quick look at the journal. There it is, our journal. No new trades today, obviously, but we did finish off this half trade here overnight. Because it finished at 12:05, we did lose out on the swap there as well, 36 cents. And so it was slightly a loss overall because of the commission and the swap. That does mean that we finished day 3 $167 down in total. That's from 8,220 to 8,053. If we had closed off that trade manually last night, then we would have kept a little bit of profit. It was about break even when we said we could have closed it. So yeah, again, we had to wait all day for that trade yesterday. We did get a couple on the first day, even though they didn't go our way. But all these trends seem to be happening in the Asia market. So if you are looking specifically at these 3 pairs, maybe start at 4:30 in the morning or so, or whenever the mid-Asia session is for you. Those seem to be where the trends are, and that is what we want. Let's keep hunting for it on Monday and see if we can get back into profit on this strategy.